20 years from now? Where's the world gonna be 20 years from now? I see the troubles we facing in this new generation. We got no explanations to the situations we have now created. It's up to us and now save it. If we don't do it, there's no way we can make it through it.
Hey everybody, my name is Chris and I wanted to take the time to share my story with you. It's kind of the foundation for this channel and my passion for mental and physical health and combining the two together. It's the reason why I'm a therapist and a coach today. So it started when I was about 5 years old. I'll do my best, I don't remember a lot of it, but it started when I was about 5 years old. I was diagnosed with ADHD, bipolar, conduct disorder, and oppositional defiant disorder. From 5 until 15, I was in therapy. Most of the therapists when I was younger, or as a child, 5, 6, 7, 8, didn't pan out. I remember going to a lot of different male therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists and breaking their rooms and doing a lot of things that I'm not supposed to do, and so they would obviously refer me to somebody else and just say, hey, I can't help him. So early on, I wasn't able to find a good fit for what I needed. As a child, I was also in multiple inpatient hospitals. The only one I can really remember as a young child was what I call the Castle School in, I think, Fort Worth, not Dallas. I think it's in Fort Worth. I was institutionalized there, and again, I don't have a lot of memories before in 4th grade, about age 10, 11. But I do remember being in that hospital and there being a fire across the street. For whatever that's worth, we were having a group session and we all ran to the window and watched the fire. Other than that, I don't really remember too much about that hospital stay. There was another one where it seemed more like summer camp. That one lasted not like a week maybe, and they're like, yeah, no, this isn't gonna work. So early on, I don't remember too much. I just remember not fitting everywhere that I went. I remember a lot of professionals telling me that I don't fit. I remember a lot of teachers telling me that I don't fit. And I remember being alone a lot, at school especially. I didn't really have any friends at school. Fast forward a little bit, finally get to maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. My violence is kind of taking off in school. I'm hitting people with my mom. I remember hitting my mom actually with a pull stick and it breaking across her leg with the pull stick. I remember somewhere between ages 5 and maybe 8 or 9. Again, a lot of it's blurry, but I remember cracking open someone's forehead with the back handle of a water gun, a super soaker, at a birthday party. It was his birthday actually, if I remember correctly. But he was getting all the attention, and I apparently didn't like that. A lot of my issues were founded in anger. So like I said, fast forward a little bit, and I'm hitting people at school. I'm throwing desks and chairs at teachers. I'm getting in fights. I can't even tell you how many scars on my hands and knuckles. I was also in daycare. My mom was a single mother raising myself and my older brother. And she just didn't have the time to do everything, and so I was in daycare. And at that daycare, what I would do is I'd go to the backyard alone, because I didn't have any friends, and I remember just doing weird physical stuff, like going across the monkey bars endlessly and climbing the rope endlessly, and more specifically, there was a tether ball in the back, and I would punch that tether ball, which was yellow, until there was some red on it, meaning blood from my knuckles. I think it was related to some type of stimuli that I needed to get at the time, or maybe pain just did something for me. It just comforted me, I guess, in some type of way. Crazy enough. So yeah, needless to say, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. Let's fast forward a little bit more. We get to 4th grade or so, somewhere around that time, and I go on my 10th or 11th hospital. This was the longest hospital that I stayed at. It was 3 months, and I was actually supposed to be taken away by the state, by CPS, not because my mom was a bad mother, because she wasn't. She was amazing, but because I was deemed unfit for society, and I have paperwork that states that. I have it highlighted under my home office desk, and so the state wanted to take me away. I was violent and harmful and dangerous, and luckily we had family members and friends that fought this, and they came to an agreement that I could attend this hospital in Austin, Texas. So I went there. I was convinced by my family that it was summer camp, but it was not summer camp. I remember getting there. It was a rainy day, just like out of a movie. We pull up and there's this long stretch of rocks. We called it the road to hell. And it was this long stretch of rocks through the entryway that leads to just the general office, like the main office where you check in. And they said they're going to take me back to the barracks. I'm all excited because I'm going to summer camp. I'm going to meet friends. It's going to be great. I get there and my mom or the person who took us, somebody opens the door and lets me in first. And then they slam it behind me. And it had one of those submarine circular windows. And I remember looking through that window at my mom and seeing her start to cry, and then she walks away. I'm confused, obviously. I don't know how old I am at the time, maybe 10 years old. And I'm just not having it. They're trying to take me to my room. I'm resisting them. I'm fighting them. And they have to come and sedate me like an hour or so later, sticking a needle in my leg because I would bite them and scratch them and fight them. And this was the kind of hospital where they had the white padded rooms that you see in movies. So they put me, I remember them putting me in one of those rooms that day. I don't think I went back again. I think that was the one time that I was placed in that room. But I do remember them having those rooms. My roommate during that time, his name was Eddie, and he was what we call positive schizophrenic. So he had hallucinations, and he saw dead people like the movie The Sixth Sense. And so they used to have to come in at night and sedate Eddie, because he would just be screaming that there's dead people on top of me and in the room and over there in the corner and so on and so forth. And it was a lot of things that I just didn't need to be seeing at my age. To my mom's credit, she drove down there basically, as far as I remember, every single weekend she drove to Austin from the DFW area, Dallas-Fort Worth, and made that commute to see me. I had a card in the mail basically every single day, if I can remember, while I was there for 3 months from her. She sent one religiously, sent a card. And there was a moment in particular that I attribute as the moment of change, I guess, that aha moment. Outside of my window where I had Eddie in my room, and that's where I stayed, there were 3 cell towers that have the red lights that flash. And I remember this very specifically. I don't know how many, but I had a bunch of my mom's cards that she sent me laid out across the bed. And Eddie's asleep and it's dark, and so you see the red lights flashing. I remember looking out the window and crying, thinking about, my mom and wanting to go home because I'm still just a kid and didn't really know what was going on. But I knew sure as hell I wasn't like any of these people. And so I needed to get out of there. That was really the moment that kind of, sparked my desire to change things. Fast forward a little bit more, I get out of the hospital, I come back to school. The next 2 years are rough. Then a 4th, or maybe the beginning of 5th, again, a lot of it's hazy, and 6th grade were rough. I didn't really have any friends at all. I was kind of an outcast. I kept to myself. That first 6 months or so, sometimes I would go to the cafeteria in the morning, and I would just sit by myself, and people would try to talk to me, and I just would not even acknowledge them. I was so shocked. I don't know if I'd say traumatized, but I was so shocked with everything that I had seen that I just did not want to cause any type of additional problem. I was scared shitless to do anything wrong because I did not want to go back to where I was. And I didn't know why I went to that place, other than apparently I did things, I was a bad boy or something, but I knew I didn't want to go back there. Fast forward a little bit more. Junior high comes, I find sports. Sports help to save my life. They help to turn things around. I go from kid who has no friends, kid who can't stay focused in school, that rides the small bus, the tiny bus, the special ed bus, that is in speech until 5th grade, that has an aide that comes and checks on him, that gets pulled from class to do testing. I go from that kid to straight A's. All A team sports. I end up turning my grades around. I end up going to Baylor. I end up getting my master's. I graduated year early from undergrad and year early from grad school. I'm pursuing a PhD now. I went through a lot of you can't and a lot of you won't into kind of FUs now. I'm trying not to be mean about it, but that's kind of how I feel. That's honestly just kind of how I feel, is you really didn't think that anything would become of me, and you were wrong. And that kind of fuels how I am today. I am a very competitive person today, and I'm not angry anymore. Don't get me wrong, I still get angry just like anybody. But I like to think of myself as a pacifist now, at least in comparison to where I was for sure. But I'm still very competitive and assertive, and I know what I want, and I can go and get it, because when I reach some type of wall or problem, I think about that childhood, and I think about all the vacations I can't remember, and I think about all the pain my mom experienced, and I think about all the pain my brother experienced because of me and my stepdad and my dad, which is a whole other story. I never got to know him, and he died when I was 17 of a heart attack. That's a whole other another thing. But I think about all those trials, and I'm like, okay, I have to work a 60-hour work week, whatever, or I have to, okay, my chest hurts from bench pressing, whatever. You know, I look at those problems, and they're still problems, and they still suck, but this is nothing in comparison. When I actually stop and think about what I went through, it's just not as difficult anymore. So I hope that you get something from this. I hope that you support what I'm trying to accomplish, which is combining mental and physical health in some way to help other people's lives like it did mine. I hope that you find value in this channel and in this story. And I hope that you share yours, because I think, like I said, a major part of coming to grips with what has happened to you and moving on is being able to share. And so I have no resignations about sharing the story with you. In fact, if I miss anything, I'd be happy to share more. But I hope you get something from this, and I hope you subscribe to this channel and enjoy the content. And I know that this was a serious video. I know that this was probably more on the depressing side of the videos on this channel, but I hope you get something from it, or somebody you know gets something from it. So please hit that like button, please subscribe, and please support what I'm trying to do with my business and with mental and physical health.